Hello my dear ones and welcome from the Singapore Airlines Business Class on the Airbus A350 in these huge long haul seat configuration chairs. This is a long haul flight from Istanbul to Singapore and I think it's gonna be pretty interesting.
I'm Chris, I'm a singer, but Travel Sing Fly is all about flying and traveling with lots of tips, honest airline reviews and exciting reports from all continents. And today we're going from Turkey to Singapore on Singapore Airlines Business Class.
Well, maybe you've already seen some of my Singapore Airlines reports in the first class suites from Frankfurt to New York, where I had the flight on a double bed. That was pretty special. And also the regional business class within Asia. But this is very different. So come with me in 10 hours from Istanbul to Singapore.
Istanbul's Ataturk Airport was replaced about 4 years ago by the new Istanbul Airport by the Black Sea, which looks gigantomaniac, but is already quite overcrowded. We're checking in our luggage at the Singapore Airlines Business Class counter and then let's go to the lounge, and that's the lounge of Star Alliance partner Turkish Airlines. Turkish Airlines offers 2 lounges of the same size, one for its own status customers and one for business class travelers of Turkish Airlines and Star Alliance airlines such as Singapore Airlines.
Now that both Turkish Airlines lounges are open again, you can just see the vast size of this lounge area. It's so big, and it's also one of the most beautiful lounges I've seen in my life in the world, and for sure it's also one of the biggest, and for sure in Europe, when it comes to beauty and size. Also you have some entertainment here, which you normally don't get at European lounges, that you would get maybe in the Middle East and in Asia. And then you have these nice, more quiet areas like here in the rather British private library style, and then you have nice buffets, mostly regional dishes, but that's nice too. Wine is really in the corner, like it's something you don't want to look at, but anyway, that's the tradition here, or it's becoming more and more the tradition here in this country, to be honest, which is not so funny, I think, but anyway. Then you have the beautiful look out to the apron and over to the Black Sea. You can see all those planes, so beautiful, so you can spend really some nice hours here. Anyway, now we're going to the plane.
On the Istanbul route, Singapore Airlines offers economy class, premium economy and business class. There's no first class. Singapore Airlines Business Class on the Airbus A350 exists in a regional and a long-haul configuration, and this route here is flown with extremely wide long-haul business class seats, and there's 2 in the middle and 1 seat at each window. And I'm really excited about this trip because my experience with the airline this year was rather mixed.
So while going to the runway, let's have a look at the seat first. You see the monitor screen is super clean. It's mirroring myself, but you can also admire yourself down here in this beautiful mirror behind this little door. Then you have something for your glass, and then you have this other compartment that you can open and close just to forget your glasses, for example. That's fantastic. And then you have a remote control for the monitor screen. Then you have this little storage over here, where right now you see the noise cancelling headsets, and here's the table later. Then you have more storage over here, which is quite nice and large and very practical. Not for takeoff and landing though. Then you have a power socket here and USB ports and an HDMI port. Then you have a reading light over here. And then on the other side of the seat you have more reading lights over here. You have 3 reading lights over here too. So that's very practical. And the only thing that's a little scary is this little thing here for the feet, because this looks really quite tiny, but we'll have a look ourselves later. And then down here we have this other thing over here where you can even put your laptop or shoes, of course.
Your attention as we bring you through this important safety briefing and on a journey through Singapore.
nothing to drink before the start, but you could already tell them what you would like to have as a late welcome drink, so to speak, after takeoff. And I just chose champagne. You could just select anything from the drink list, and as a champagne they have either Charles Heidsieck Brut Reserve or 2012 or 2014 vintage champagne of Piper Heidsieck, but it's either or. They have either that on the plane or the other one on the plane. You cannot choose, so that's what you get. Today they have the Charles Heidsieck Brut Reserve. Well, it's not a vintage champagne, but it's still a good champagne. Singapore Airlines business or first class flight on a longer route starts with their famous satay as an appetizer before the actual appetizer, and that's marinated chicken skewers with the famous peanut sauce. You know, you just take one bite of this and you feel already you're in Asia, and that's so great even though you're not there yet. And this time also the peanut sauce is not so thick, so I can really put it on the skewer, because the last flights it was always way too thick. It was just next to the skewer but never on it, but maybe that's just me.
Even though the middle seats are side by side, they're completely separated from each other and you don't see the person next to you once you sit back or lie down. Traveling as a couple can have disadvantages here, but also advantages depending on the status of the relationship before and after the trip. And with these philosophical words, let's move on to the appetizers.
Well, I have to say, this prawn with the eggplant and this little Turkish red paste, little spicy paste, looks really quite nice. And then we have olive bread and some butter and salt, pepper, so that's really quite nice. And a nice start for lunch. And with the appetizer I chose a Riesling, and that's not a German Riesling but an Australian one. That's a 2018 Pikes Riesling Traditional from Clare Valley in Australia. And this trip is gonna bring me also to Australia, so not exactly there because that's next to Adelaide, but at least to Sydney. So this trip is gonna be pretty special. By the way, it's so nice to have a paper menu again, because throughout the crisis, the COVID crisis, they only had online menus, so you had to download the menu onto your phone and then have a look what they have on offer to eat or to drink. Anyway, this is so much better now. A couple of days before the flight I already ordered the main course, because then the in-flight menu is already available on your Singapore Airlines profile, and I ordered some short ribs, and that was actually also part of the Book the Cook program. That's a special program of Singapore Airlines with very special dishes. However, sometimes I find them not so special, to be honest. Anyway, it comes with cornbread pudding and with spinach, so that's short ribs with cornbread pudding and spinach and some carrots. And with it I'm gonna have Bordeaux, and that's a 2015 Clarendelle Bordeaux from France, of course.
What about the chef?
The main course is part of the Book the Cook program. That's where Singapore Airlines invites well-known chefs to prepare a special dish. And in this case, the short ribs are from a Los Angeles chef called Suzanne Goin. And I always thought that short ribs are real American specialties, and for sure cornbread is. But in this case, the short ribs are really kind of bland, I would say. And the cornbread is really dry.
You are insulting the chef.
Yeah, and then we have spinach. The spinach is spinach, and the carrots are carrots. So much to say about the Book the Cook dish. Now for the dessert I had the choice between cheese and some fruits and mango ice cream and chocolate cake, and I said yes to all of them.
Desserts and cheese are offered from a trolley, and I got a particularly nice dessert surprise with wow factor.
Well, now after lunch, most of the other passengers started already to rest or even to sleep, and the cabin here is already dimmed down quite a lot, except for my window more or less. However, after dinner or after lunch, I have to say this is so much better, actually, or it feels so much better than the regional business class, even between Singapore and Dubai, which is already quite a long trip of 7 hours. The food felt of like a better quality, and I mean, look at the seat. The seat is just stunning. It's so wide. It's like as wide as you would normally get in a good first class, but of course it's not really first class because it's not a fully big bed. It's just as wide as a first class seat, but not as a bed, because you have only this little thing for the feet, this foot coffin kind of, and I'm curious how that's gonna feel once I lie down. But other than that, it's really a very good feeling, very, very luxurious feeling to sit here, and also the staff is really wonderful. They're so friendly, they're so helpful, they're really attentive, and not just to me because I'm filming, but I'm looking around, of course, how they're like, or what they like to other passengers who are not filming, and they're just equally attentive and really very friendly. Although this is quite a full flight, it's really very well done, and it's so much better than actually my experience that I had on the regional business class flights. So thumbs up for that. Ah, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. And now I got a glass of Baileys, and I mean the list of spirits, digestives, aperitifs is not so big here at Singapore Airlines, and Baileys you would normally get also on economy class flights. However, I was just feeling like having some Baileys, and then I'm gonna just try how it's feeling like lying down, because this seat is pretty special in the way that you don't just recline your seat until it's a bed, but once you want to really have a bed, you have to put down the backrest like this, and then you have a bed. And I'm pretty curious how that's gonna be like, because this is pretty special here on Singapore Airlines only, as far as I know.
As I just said, the seat is folded down completely for sleeping, but otherwise you can extend it to a relaxed position if you're patient enough.
And of course we're also going to have a look at the entertainment system and also at the amenity kit, because here on this flight you also get an amenity kit and slippers and a sleeping mask, but only if you ask for it. Singapore Airlines has the Airbus A350 in 3 versions actually. You have first the ultra long haul version, that's business class and premium economy class for flights between New York and Singapore, for example. The longest flight in the world at the moment of more than 18 hours. And then you have this one over here, the long haul business class, and then premium economy and economy, and the regional business class with different seats from these ones that exist since not very long ago. And there's 2 reports on my channel already about that. That's a flight from Bangkok to Singapore, but then also from Singapore to Dubai, and that's not regional because actually that's 7 hours flight, and you can already hop over the Atlantic in 7 hours, and they even use it on flights of more than 9 hours from Singapore to Adelaide. So anyway, that's also a nice seat, the regional business class, but this here is a completely different world. It's so much better. And here we are at the lavatory of the Airbus A350 in the very front of the cabin, just behind the cockpit. And you see it's not very big, actually it's very small, and I put out already here the seat because I'm gonna change into pajamas. Actually my private t-shirt and pajama pants, but from Qatar Airways, because Singapore Airlines don't offer that in business class. However, there's some toothbrushes here if you like, and then there's products from Penhaligon's London, that's hand lotion and facial mist, and there would also be some eau de toilette, but it looks like somebody stole it already, even though it's not coming with a lid, it's just without the lid, but probably somebody didn't care.
What are you doing?
I'm changing.
And we're going back to our seat.
When I returned to my seat, a flight attendant was already busy making the bed, and there was an extra pillow and of course a blanket. Looks cozy, but what about that hole for the legs?
So now I'm lying here, and I will talk about this bed a little in a moment, but actually now the lady is coming through with all those snacks that you can select, and I cannot miss her. I have a look maybe again. Sorry. What do you have there? Well, now lying down, it's really so impressive how wide the seat is. It's really so nice and wide here at the shoulders and arms. There's like almost unlimited space. However, for the legs, it's not the same because it is quite narrow down there for the legs. Actually, it's extremely narrow. But once you lie straight, it's fine. You can lie straight, very long, or you can, as I do at home in my bed, have one leg straight and the other one with the knee bent. However, if you want to do that on the other side, if you want to change the leg position, so to speak, that's not possible. It's just not possible, and also you cannot just lie down wide and flat, also because there's no space for that. So it's not an ideal seat. I don't know if it's very nice to fly here for 14 hours and try to sleep for 6-7 hours, but I'm sure many people can. I would not be able to, but many people can. So, yeah, but it's very wide. And now I'm going to try to sleep a little, but before that, let's have a look at the entertainment system.
Entertainment is a highlight on Singapore Airlines. Not only Hollywood is represented here, but there are countless international movies as well as a large selection of sitcoms and documentaries, although not entire seasons. However, it was annoying that the monitor has no touch screen and the remote control is not exactly intuitive. But what I liked is that the large audio library has also a wide selection of classical music, and there's not just the well-known highlights, and the interactive flight show is also really fun here. But now on to an important item in business class, the amenity kit. The Singapore Airlines Business Class amenity kit is branded by Penhaligon's London. Here I'm showing it on another of my Singapore flights. It's a flat and relatively small pouch made of green faux leather with a pretty lining, and it includes hand cream, lip balm and facial spray. Toothbrushes and shaving kits are available in the lavatories. Not exactly mind-blowing given the premium reputation the airline boasts, but better than nothing. And the cabin is already getting brighter again. Time for a midnight breakfast. Much too fast because unexpectedly I had a pretty good short sleep, which I rarely do on a plane. Why was that now?
And good morning from the plane, or shall I say good night, because actually we're gonna land even before midnight, and it's gonna be 5 o'clock in the morning at our destination Singapore. And that's what happens when you leave quite early in the day, like around the noontime, like in my case, and you go eastbound. Then that's what happens. Anyway, I don't know exactly what to say about the seat when you lie down, to be honest, or when you want to sleep, because it's both quite fantastic and not so great, because it's fantastic here. The width of this seat is phenomenal. It's so impressive and so comfortable. However, once you look at your feet, they go into this very small foot coffin down there, and now it comes a very big surprise. Once you are somebody who likes to sleep on the side, you will like the seat, because in a way it's so shaped that once you lie down on your side, it's exactly in the shape where you lie down anyway, so you feel just really fine. I felt really fine, and I'm sometimes having problems in these kind of seats, or in business class seats, as stupid as that sounds. But here I lied down and it was really comfortable, and I was really not expecting that. However, if you are somebody who likes to lie on the back or on the belly, then it's going to be a little difficult because it's not so easy to have the feet or the legs next to each other comfortably. For that, this foot coffin is just too small, too narrow. So, I don't know what to say. It's great and it's also not so great. I think I have to leave it up to you. And breakfast has been served too, and on this flight you have a selection of 3 breakfast options. That's a vegetarian omelette, actually with poultry sausage too, and then you have French waffles, warm waffles, or you can have also the Asian option, that's egg noodles with braised beef, and that's what I went for, because when you go to Asia you can never start early enough with Asia. That's at least for me. And yet I needed to have some muesli before, because they have bircher muesli here on board, and it looks really quite good, quite fresh.
My compliments to the chef.
And the main course for breakfast has arrived, and that's egg noodles, Asian egg noodles with braised beef. And to be honest, that doesn't look less nice than what I had on Singapore Airlines first class suites from Frankfurt to New York. Yeah, well, but this looks quite nice, and this is really nice for business class breakfast. Really, really, really nice. And I also asked for another mocktail, because they're quite simple here and they taste really good. And what I got is a tropical fizz, and that's so easy to make at home, so I will do that. That's a mix of pineapple juice and bitter lemon. And then they also have apple bliss, and that's a mix of apple juice and bitter lemon and some Sprite. So super easy to do at home. Then they have Sunrise Meadow, that's a mix of orange and pineapple juice with soda water. Well, that's very simple. And then Royal Sparkle, that's apple juice and ginger ale and soda. Easy. So, it's 50 more minutes until landing in Singapore. What can I say about this flight now? Well, first of all, I'm really happy that I'm doing this footage on this flight, because it's so different from my experience on my last Singapore Airlines Business Class flights, because this one here is really so good, and it was not so great in the regional business class from from Singapore to Dubai, which is not regional at all, I would say, but they still have the seats for the regional business class for these flights to Dubai. And here it was so different. Everything is so much better here. The crew here was phenomenal, or is phenomenal. They're still here, and not just to me because I'm filming, but to everybody. They're just really lovely and very attentive, interactive, and like really there for their guests. I feel really welcome. Then the food was very good on this flight. The drinks, they are good. They're not outstanding, but they are still okay. I didn't have the cocktails this time, so I think that was a good decision too. But I had mocktails, and they are really nice. And I mean, the seat is fantastic. The bed position of the seat is a matter of taste or preference. Well, I'm a side sleeper. For me it was perfect. So much about my private life. So, altogether a really good flight, and I'm happy that I'm doing this footage here now. Now, why am I flying from Istanbul to Singapore and not from the rest of Europe? Well, it's so easy and simple. It's so much cheaper to start from Istanbul, because Istanbul is counted as a part of Near East, Middle East, Africa region on the Singapore Airlines Krisflyer program, and that means I paid only 49,000 miles for this flight, which is just incredibly cheap for a 10-hour flight. And now they just raised it to 56,500 miles, which is still very good. If I had started from Europe, I would have paid 92,000 miles, almost double of what I pay in miles from Istanbul. So that's a very big difference for only 1 hour less flight. So I just took a normal flight from Cologne, in my case, to Istanbul, and now I'm doing this long haul from Istanbul. And a similar sweet spot on Singapore Airlines is Singapore to Johannesburg and Cape Town, because it's also now 56,500 miles on their Krisflyer Saver Awards, and that's a really big difference compared to the around 100,000 miles between Singapore and Europe, which is about the same distance. Singapore Airlines is also one of the airlines that's most booked for trips to Thailand. Well, most of my relatives have been living in Thailand, actually in Phuket, for more than 30 years. So I know the island and the country since my childhood. And I released quite a number of really interesting reports from Thailand, including the biggest beach report about Phuket with all the beaches of the island, including also where you can eat really nicely without spending too much money, all the sightseeing you can do there on the island. And then there's also quite interesting hotel reports from Phuket and also from Bangkok. So make sure to check that out. My dear ones, we just arrived in Singapore, still in the middle of the night, or at least in the very, very early morning. I hope you really enjoyed this flight report about the Singapore Airlines Business Class on the Airbus A350 in their long haul seat configuration. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. There's many more really interesting reports coming up this and next year from all continents of the world. So stay tuned and see you again very soon here at Travel Sing Fly.